Yeah, you use that one, I'll get that one off those ones.
Kia ora tātou. Kare tino mohi o me pēhea ki te haere o tō tātou kaupa pēnā ni ko pātai mai a pēnā kai ki pātea tātou ki te tukupaku karakia mo tātou mo tēnei wā. Ai ngai tēnā kai ki pai rā tēnei. Anō rere kia ora tātou te whāna. Kia koutou mai haru mai tapiti nā mihi rā kia koutou. Kia ora tātou. Ai hono re korori he mauna rono ki te menu ka pai ki nā tāngata tō āmen. Pakumoi misati kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia mātou e tō mātou atu mai mō manākitanga ia mātou mōna magatu ho mai tani ia koe. Hei ora nama mātou ia pina rai o mātou tino no mātou wairua tēnei tino tira kia koe tō mātou atu mai mō manākitanga ia mātou i tēnei wā. Tino tino kia koe tō mātou atu mai mō manākitanga ia mātou e tō mātou atua. Mai mō wera ko ka pohi o mai rā ia koe te tina i tue tō mātou atua tēnei tino tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia rātou i tēnei wā tō mātou atua. Taino rā ki nā whānau pane e tō mātou atua tēnei tino tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia rātou māpato ai tō mātou atua. Rere ka tino tino kia koe tō mātou atua mai mō manākitanga ia mātou e noho nei raro rā te kaukau tēnei o nā tipuna ware o tātou tēnei tino tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia mātou. Ko pēhea tō mātou atua tēnei tino tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia mātou e nei hara mai tapiti me wēnai hara mai tata tēnei tino tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga ia mātou i hui nei tēnei wā tō mātou atua. Rere ka tino tino kia koe tō mātou atua kia utai ne hira kuni a tātou i tēnei wā tō mātou atua tā manākitanga tō mātou atua. Rere tēnei ka tino tino tēnei tino tira kia koe tō mātou atua mai mō manākitanga ia mātou i tēnei wā. Tēnei tino tira kia koe mai nei tino te tamata wairua tapu ai anei ātona te glori tōna tapu āmen. A te wai ata harawari rau kono. Wakamoe me te tia i roa, wakamoe me te tia te atu ai tōna wai tāpu. Wakamoe me te tia i ai ke korani a tōna kaha. Wakamoe me te tia i a moana marina nui kari te ki te hira o tōna nui te wakamoe me te kai ia. Wakamoe me te tia i ai runa i te tani o te tere. Wakamoe me te tia i ai runa i te hātere i te hā. Wakarono e tāku tamai ki te ako atau whāpātaua. Hoki e wakarere a te ture atau whaia kawai hohe whakapai pai a tālua moto mate. Meka whakapai pai moto ka ki e tāku tamai ki te whakawai a koe te hunahara kaua no hoki e whakai atu. Rere te atu tēnei ka tino tira kia koe tō mātou atu mai mō manākitanga rai a mātou ko tukuna hira nā ino i nā takutaku ke taia tira kia koe mai mō manākitanga rai a mātou i tēnei wā tā mātou atu. Rere hei mua koe a mātou i hoe tohi o mātou mahi katoa ko koe ana he kakahai a mātou kia pai krore e mātou i roto i o mahi katoa. He mea tīmata, he mea mahi mea whakaoti roto i a koe ke whiwhi ai mātou ki te ora na tunutana ki te mea e ata pai tēnei ke mātou ki a koe. Mā ko wai honei e ipu ko mona i katoa te au waka mai miti tia whakapai nia tō tātou matu e tēnā ni ai anei a ke tonu atu glori e ki tōna tapu amen. E te atu e te huni tapu ino i honei tēnā ni ki te tamai tōri na matau ki te kaori a mātou i hoa te atu pai o nā tāna tai rāne na tō aramaka e te rini tā mahi tohu. E pai na ke kui hoa ki nā mea kato hei nui a mātou i tāu mana tanga gloria ki tōna tapu amen. E noa te ariki e tō mātou matu e tēnā ni ki a tapu. Kia tapu tō inua ki a tā mai. Tā mai tō nana tira tāna ki a metia. Kia metia tā ue pai ai ki unai ta whenua ki a tia roku tō tēnā ni ki whakamoi metia.
Whakamoe miti nei o ki mātou.
Kia koe ki whakapororia ki tōna tapu amen. E te atua whakanono mai tahuri mai o tanina ki o mātou i noi ki whakanaro tuku iau e tani atu nei ana mai titiru mai ki a mātou e pōkai kaha nei tani nei hoki gloria ki tōna tapu amene. E te atua whakatūpere tia mai nā kuha te tiko te oro te pono te mahara matana o te kaha ki a mātou i tēnei wā. A mā mātou koe whakamoemiti ki whaka gloria ki tōna tapu amene. Rere kia ora rā tātai te pāsi.
Kia ora.
Kia ora tātai. Kami te tahi māku rā, mihi nei ki tō tātai tuhina. Te ara, hari nei tāra whata, tō tātai matanui te rani tēnei pō. Kawa, ka hui tēnei a mātai, hui tēnei. Nō reira, tēnei mihi atu kā. Ahiri no te mea ki te mihi tēnei kia tātai, ka haramai nei mihi tēnei. Ai te kaupapa o tātou wairo, tēnei pō. Anō reira mihi atu rā, tēnei kia tātai katoi tēnei pō. Ka rau mai rā tata, hara mai tawhiti. I rui te kaupapa o tēnei a tātou wai. Anō rewe te tepu nei, tēnei te miha te kāpa. Kia koutou katoa e te ranatira, kia koutou katoa. Nā whānei katoa noho nei, runi i mua tēnei a tātou ka tēnei pō. Ko ia tēnei ka tātou katoa tēnei te miha te kia koutou. E whakamārama hia mai rā te neke o tēnei a tātou wai o tēnei pō. E muri o te raka, muri atu nei, te mihi atu kia tātou, te rohe nei o te aroa, e mihi atu kia rātou e noho nei māta katoa e rute i te rohe o te aroa, e mihi atu kia rātou. Nō reira, ai te whare nei, ka mihi nei kia tātou i runi i tēnei tātou rumi tēnei rā, te whare, tēnā koe, i te papako waho rā, i atu nei kia mātou i hi koe nei, i runi i te papako tēnei tātou rumi, tēnā koe ahurino kia tātou. Kāre kumu e te kōrero, ko te mea nui tēnei rā te hoa atu te rākau, ki tēnei nā rana tino tēnei tātou. Neke, o reira, hurino, tēnā koutou, a kia ara mai no tātou.
Ka penera
Koe au, i te pine o te aroha, i te pine e kore nei, e wai kurai. Tai timu tai pai, tai ora e haere, kia mutu taku riri, i roi mata e. Te tepu?
Kia ora tātou, my name is Leon Sons. I'd just like to acknowledge our kariki on meeting we just had today. So thank you very much for turning out today and coming to listen and watch our presentation of the final asset and representation model that we have been working on for the last 2 years. So the trustees, the initial trustees, have got some assembled here today that have come along to this roadshow event as to talk what we've put together, as well as be here and present and front as a face for what we've been doing on your behalf for the last couple of years. So I'd just like to acknowledge our trustees here, and I'll just get them to introduce themselves initially, so at the end of the presentation you know who they are, and if you have any particular questions regarding your particular car, then you know who to approach. Thanks.
Kia ora.
Keep going, you can't. Keep going.
Oh,
The live stream.
okay. Kia ora, I'm Uha Manuel from Te Wairoa, and I represent Te Wairoa Tapukarau Cluster 1. Thank you.
Kia ora whānau. My name is Phil Beattie, and in the book you'll see Philip Beattie. So
You know it is, Ron. This is for the live stream.
yeah. So
Talk loud.
hopefully it's on. So I'm a trustee for Tapukarau Tuarua Whānui. So we represent Marae Hapu, Ruataniwa, Tākitumu, Tāwhiti Maru, Ruataniwa, Huramo, and and Waiopawa and other old pa that may be there and so on through this journey. So I think I like to say that a lot of our whānau that we're trying to engage with on the Sui and Roadshow. So like my mother's whānau, she is Hoitawa Paul Wirihana and Kaimona Christie. Eh? So Dad, he's a Edwards Kārena o Taranui and Tarangi Hakiaha or Takawe Beatty. Eh? So it's just a lot of us is trying to connect with our people as well. So that's part of my journey as well too. So kia ora.
Kia ora whānau. My name is Johnina Symes and I'm from Ngāti Rākai Pāka. I'm one of two. Our other representative, Pauline Symes, is looking after the kāinga in Nuhaka. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou katoa. My name is Huia Huata. I'm one of the trustees for Ngā Tokorima Hine Manuhiri. We have around about 1,400 members registered to Hine Manuhiri, of which about 950 are eligible adult members. And I'm not too sure where most of our members live, but definitely throughout the whole of the motu. And I just want to acknowledge our Ngai Tamatea whānau who have come along tonight. Kia ora.
Kia ora whānau, I'm Hete Kakau. I'm trustee for Paki Nuarua. Piri Mangro couldn't be here today, he's our other trustee. And tomorrow we've got a hui here at Iute Marae to mandate our trustee. And our new legal entity will be called Te Pakaki Nuarua Trust. And under that trust, there's three marae, which is the Pakaki Marae, Iwite Marae, and the Te Ruana Marae. That's in Ngā. And if you look to the right, we've got a collective kahui over there. And if you want a copy of our trustee, the kahui trustee, Naomi Wilson, will give you a copy of our trustee. And sitting next to her is actually our chairperson for Pakaki Nuarua. And yeah, so kia ora whānau, if you want to talk to me, we're most welcome to talk to you guys after the hui. Good.
Well, apologies as well for Bobby McGregor, Tapokara 1, Alan Jones as well from Te Pakara Whānui, and Carmen Morel from Hune Manihiri, and also myself, apologies from Moana Rongo, myself and Moana represent Rongo Mawahini Ngai Tarakato. So that's to make up of our 14 trustees. Also acknowledgement to our whānau online. We've got Campbell Squared. We live stream all our huis to make sure that we get as wide a reach as possible. So that's why you see some mic issues today. So they'll be, you may not hear yourselves on the PA system, but just talking to the mic here, so our whānau online can hear. But just yell in the room so everyone else can hear. Also at the back here we've got Devon from our admin services. She's the one running the special voting and registration. So if you're not too sure if you're registered yet, just see Devon at the back and she'll be able to confirm your details and check your details, as well as our, as head to seat, the Whānui Kahui Collective here, represented by Whakahi Nuarua and Tapokara Whānui. So yes, basically this is our travelling. This is the second weekend we're running these information hui. We've got another hui as well tomorrow in Hamilton and one in Auckland on Sunday. So we've three over 3 weekends. We spread this the load on the trustees, and then next weekend we're heading off down to Palmerston North and Wellington and Christchurch and finishing up in the South Island. So any of those, if you've got whānau living in those areas, please contact them to get along and come along and listen to the roadshow. So basically the trustees are here we're going to present you this video, which is a summary of what's in the booklet to let you know what the final model will look like. But before that, we were tasked with a couple of key tasks as well this year, and one of them was to make sure the settlement redress and settlement legislation was enacted. And we successfully completed that on the 12th of November, which is on Monday, just gone. So our Redress and Settlement Act has been enacted in Parliament, and all the financial redress has been received. So that's one of our tasks completed. The other task as well was to make sure we prepared and got together a lot of information for the next lot of trustees so they can start to build annual plans, 5-year plans, strategic plans, and put all that information together. So we've been doing that over the last 2 years as well. And then the third bit of work is about what you see and what you're here to have a look, listen, and hopefully vote on in the special resolution to approve the model and approve changes to the trustee. So without any further interruptions from me, I'll let the video explain all of it, and then after that we'll have a bit of a questions and answers and have a cup of tea. Go.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai. Thank you for joining us today as we take the next step in our settlement journey and vote on our final representation and asset arrangements. We are Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust, the post-settlement government's entity, or PSG, for the iwi and hapu of Te Rohe o Te Wairoa. It is our responsibility on behalf of our iwi, hapu and whānau to manage the redress that will be received as part of our settlement with the Crown. Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa has 14 initial trustees elected by our iwi, hapu and whānau who are helping to ensure we build a solid foundation for the future growth and development of our settlement redress. Our initial trustees aim to serve a term of 2 years. Their first term began in November 2016. Our initial trustees are responsible for managing and overseeing a review process in relation to the ownership arrangement for the Trust's assets and representation, our current mahi. Consulting with representatives of our iwi and hapu to decide whether to purchase any properties that might become available during the initial 2-year period. Maintaining records and information that will facilitate the initial trustees' preparation of the first annual plan, 5-year strategic plan, and annual report. This presentation covers the key points in your information booklet relating to the final representation model for Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. Following this presentation, we will have 30 minutes for you to ask any questions you may have. Ka tahi ka kaputi tātou, so you can meet your representatives and our support teams who are here today. Also, if you are not yet a registered member of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa, we can help you to register today so that you can vote. In August and November 2017, we held engagement hui around Aotearoa to seek your thoughts and feedback on our aspirations, values and principles, and on potential models for our asset and representation arrangements. It was great to see so many whānau participating, and lots of new faces too, with many tuning in to watch the live-streamed videos and sending us their messages online. We received invaluable feedback from you during this time, which has shaped our trustees' mahi over 2018. We are now back on a hikoi across Aotearoa, holding a round of hui in Te Wairoa, Turanganui-a-Kiwa, Here Taunga, Rotorua, Kirikiriroa, Tāmaki Makaurau, Te Papaioia, Te Whanganui-a-Tara me o Tautahi. We are presenting exactly the same information at each hui, which will cover a recap of our settlement journey to get to this point, and how we will manage the settlement redress, including how kāhui representation and our unit trust model will work. The hui will be an opportunity to ask all the pātai you have, and also, if you haven't voted online or by post already, to vote on our representation and asset arrangement model and trust deed changes via special ballot box. Your vote is really important to us. Remember, it is you who will determine if we can move forward with the proposed final asset and representation arrangements. It's you, our people, who ultimately decide on the future of tātou tātou o te Wairua. Our settlement journey began more than 30 years ago when our kaumātua first lodged historical treaty claims with the Waitangi Tribunal in the early 1980s for the area between Turanganui-a-Kiwa and Mohaka, the Wairua Inquiry District. Ultimately, our whakapapa and whanaungatanga helped us to work together. Our iwi, hapu and whānau eventually formed into a single large natural grouping under the name of Te Tira Whakaimi o Te Wairua, made up of 7 clusters of iwi, hapu and whānau groups across the district. It took years of intense discussion, consultation and negotiation to finally get to our deed of settlement and PSG, Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua Trust ratification, which our iwi, hapu and whānau confirmed in 2016. Our official deed of settlement signing ceremony was held in Wairua on the 26th of November 2016. The iwi and hapu of Te Rohe o Te Wairua Claims Settlement Bill had its first and second readings in Parliament on the 20th of December 2017 and 15th of March 2018 respectively, which were well attended by whānau. On the 6th of September 2018, we celebrated the third and final reading of our settlement bill in Parliament. This was an historic occasion for our iwi, hapu and whānau, and the culmination of many, many years of hard work that our tipuna started. Our settlement gained the royal assent on the 13th of September 2018 and is now law. We are now here today to present to you the final representation and asset arrangements for Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua Trust. You are being asked to vote on the following special resolutions. The adult registered members resolve to amend the Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua Trust Deed as set out in the marked up trust deed entitled Revised Version November 2018, and approve the unit trust model as the asset and representation model for the Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua Trust. The Trust needs to pass this special resolution so that we can have an agreed representation model and way of managing our settlement assets. The Trust asks all whānau to review the proposed representation and asset arrangement model and then to vote yes to approve the special resolution. The special resolution must receive at least 75% support of valid votes cast for it to be passed. The current trust deed, ratified in August 2018, has been updated to reflect the proposed final representation and asset arrangement model. The marked up trust deed, entitled Revised Version November 2018, can be accessed on our website in the Documents section. If the special resolution does not receive the required level of support, the current trust deed, ratified in August 2018, will stand and a new set of trustee elections will be held. What it really means is that we will lose the opportunity to move forward that our iwi, hapu and whānau have been waiting for so long. Whānau, our ultimate goal has been to move as quickly as possible through the legislative process to complete Crown involvement in this part of our journey and move into a position of holding our destiny in our own hands. We are pleased that we have achieved this, and it is now solely up to our iwi, hapu and whānau to make the big decisions on our future. This is an exciting time, It's you, our people, who'll decide on the final asset and representation arrangements. Your participation in this vote is crucial to a successful future for the iwi and hapu of Te Rohe o Te Wairoa. The voting period is open from Saturday the 3rd of November to 12 p.m. Monday 26th of November 2018. The Independent Returning Officer, elections.com, is running this voting process. All adult registered members of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa are eligible to vote. There are 3 ways to vote. You can vote by post, online, or by ballot box at these hui. For voting inquiries, including requests for replacement voter packs, please contact the election helpline on 0800 666 946 or, for overseas residents, 0064 377 3530 or email iro@elections.com. What happens after the vote? We expect to receive the results within 1 week of vote closing. The Trust will notify all members of the outcome of the vote, so keep an eye on your email as well as the Trust's website and Facebook page for updates. If the Trust achieves the required support for introducing this final representation and asset arrangement model, the Trust will make the required changes to the Trust deed and new Kāhui Tātou Tātou representatives will be elected by the end of March 2019. The Tātou Tātou representatives will be the directors of the corporate trustee of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. Our new Tātou Tātou representatives will focus on finalising Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa 5-year strategic plan, which is in draft form at the moment. A consultation process will be run next year amongst our members so that we can get your feedback on this important document. At our engagement hui in 2017, we presented some possible models for the future structure of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa for you to consider. We discussed how these models could be applied separately or parts taken from each to create a final model. You told us what you thought of the models presented to you and why, what aspects you liked and what parts you didn't like, and what further detail you needed that would enable you to make an informed decision. We have listened to your views and those contained in further information gathered and have brought them together to develop a recommended final representation and asset arrangement model for the future structure of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa. It is this final model that you are being asked to vote on now. If you vote yes to this model, and we strongly encourage you do, this is how we will manage the settlement redress received on the settlement date, 12th of November 2018, to benefit our iwi, hapu and whānau for generations to come. Our recommended representation and asset arrangement is 7 kāhui, cluster groups, each with a legal structure in place in order to be a unit holder in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust upon settlement. A unit trust model, with each kāhui holding units in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. We had to consider which model would deliver more immediate benefits and greater control of income derived from the settlement for the kāhui and our iwi, hapu and whānau right from the outset. But we also had to incorporate parts of key strengths of existing PSG models around collective mechanisms of asset management and economies of scale through keeping the principle intact while allowing for kāhui seeking independence to be enabled to do so without the need for further Tātou Tātou trust deed changes or special resolutions. We have looked closely at all other PSG models of a similar size to Tātou Tātou and how representation and delivery of benefits to their members is undertaken. However, none of these models are believed to be an appropriate, identical match for the management of our settlement redress due to our circumstances. We are unique, and we need a unique model for our settlement that is tailored specifically to the needs of iwi, hapu and whānau. This is your opportunity to vote on the final representation and asset arrangement model that will help shape the future of our tamariki and mokopuna. The unit trust model reflects a combination of the concepts and models presented to you in the August and November 2017 engagement hui. It incorporates a combination of both consolidated and diversified asset ownership, where the principal settlement is kept together and income derived is either reinvested or distributed to kāhui. In regards to being grouped by kāhui, the feedback we have received is that many whānau think it's best to continue on the path that we have forged through the settlement process so far, being grouped by hapu for representation, then coming together under one umbrella group. Many whānau say they are used to the kāhui structure and feel that it is fair that each group can elect its own representative as trustees on the board. That way, each smaller group's voice is heard, but overall, we are stronger together as one. So, after considering your feedback, the initial trustees recommend we continue with the existing kāhui representation approach for Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. Let's now take a close look at the key features of the unit trust model and how the kāhui representation will work within it. All this information is contained in the information booklet from page 14 onwards. So how will kāhui representation work? First and foremost, under the unit trust model, each kāhui needs to have a structure in place in order to be a unit holder in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. There are several requirements for a kāhui structure to stand. 1. It needs to be robust and have clear provisions around the appointment of its governors. 2. The structure may be charitable. However, if it is charitable, it will be restricted to charitable activities. If your kāhui does not have a structure in place currently, it is recommended that a discretionary trust is set up to represent your kāhui on Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. A template trust deed has been prepared which can be aligned to the specific needs of your kāhui. This can be accessed on the Documents section of our website. It takes approximately 3 months to set up a discretionary trust. More information around the rules of operation for discretionary trusts can be found on page 17 of the information booklet, and we can answer any pātai you have on this after this presentation. If you already have a structure in place to represent your kāhui, your options are 1. To continue using your current structure upon settlement date. 2. To set up a discretionary trust as another entity using the template trust deed. 3. To incorporate aspects of the template trust deed into your current structure by amending your current structure's governing documents. The current trust deeds for the various kāhui who are establishing a new discretionary trust to hold units in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust can be accessed on the Documents section of our website. Let's take a look at how kāhui are represented on Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. Each kāhui will elect one representative to Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust to be its Tātou Tātou representative. The elected Tātou Tātou representative will be a director of the corporate trustee of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. We'll talk more about how the corporate trustee works soon. Each kāhui will have a representative beneficial entity which will hold units in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. Each beneficial entity will hold the same number of units initially. 1 unit equals $1 of financial and commercial redress, excluding the value of the interest received as part of an initial distribution to kāhui. Now let's explain what having a corporate trustee means. A corporate trustee is a company which acts as the trustee of a trust. The people who would have been trustees of the trust are appointed as directors. As mentioned before, the elected tātou representative will be a director of the corporate trustee of tātou o Te Wairua Trust. We recommend having a corporate trustee for several reasons. 1. It reduces the administrative burden on the trust. What this means practically is that authorised person or persons can bind the trust, instead of all trustees having to sign contracts. 2. It provides protection for trustees and their whānau. Legally, trustees are personally liable, and this can put them and their whānau at risk. The establishment of a corporate trustee provides a layer of protection for those directors who are tasked with this important mahi for the trust. The establishment of corporate trustees is a common approach for a trust managing assets of a significant value, including PSGEs. For example, Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei and Ngāti Porou both have corporate trustees. We think it is important to our values to include a charitable trust arm as part of the unit trust model. This charitable trust will hold 2 units in tātou o Te Wairua Trust. The focus of the charitable trust will be to run charitable activities for the benefit of the members of the iwi and hapu of Te Rohe o Te Wairua. Equally, we also need to have a part of the trust dedicated to running our commercial activities. Our commercial arm will be managed through a commercial company and board. When we look at board representation on the commercial company, we must ensure this board is separate from the tātou board. The commercial board will prepare a statement of investment policy and objectives, which includes the parameters under which the commercial company will operate. And the commercial board will make investment decisions within those parameters. The SIPO must be approved by the directors of the corporate trustee of tātou o Te Wairua Trust. When we look at who sits on the commercial board, we recommend that a minimum of 5 directors will be appointed and removed by the corporate trustee. At least one member has to reside in the Wairua district. Directors will have their remuneration set by the tātou board on a fixed fee basis. They will be appointed for a 2-year term initially, then every 3 years thereafter. All directors may be reappointed for a further term or terms. An appointment process would be held to replace a vacancy more than 6 months out from expiry. Where a vacancy existed within 6 months of an expiry, the vacancy would remain until the next appointment. Appointments will be made on a best person for the role basis. That is, they must have the ability and expertise to maximise returns that will either be reinvested or distributed to kāhui. To ensure the best candidate for the role, selections for candidates will need to be done in consultation with a suitably qualified independent agency. What happens to our forest asset? Our forests are treated separately within the unit trust model and are run by their own limited liability companies due to our shared interest with our neighbouring iwi. By the 5th anniversary of the unit trust model being ratified, the beneficial entities representing kāhui with interests in the forests must enter an agreement outlining their interests. If a beneficial entity becomes independent, they will receive shares in the relevant forestry company in proportion to their interest outlined in the agreement. We will discuss some long-term financial forecasts for the unit trust model later on in this presentation. But at a distributions level, part of the interest accrued will be distributed to each beneficial entity over 3 years from the date the unit trust model is ratified in proportion to their units. From the 4th year on, distributions will be made corresponding to the unit interest in December every year at 40% of profits. If a kāhui did not want to receive some or all of their annual distribution, then this could be held by a commercial board for up to 6 months. A kāhui could also reinvest some or all of its distribution with Commercial Board that would result in increased units for that kāhui. There are set rules when it comes to deferred selection properties, or DSPs. The beneficial entity of a kāhui may choose to purchase a DSP during the first 3 quarters of the DSP selection period for the relevant DSP, after which the Commercial Board may purchase the DSP. Where only one kāhui has an interest in a DSP, that kāhui may notify the Tātou Board in writing that it wishes to purchase it and work with Tātou Board to go through the DSP process. The Tātou Board will instruct the Commercial Board to purchase the DSP and transfer it to the kāhui or its nominee. Note, under the Deed of Settlement, there's no provision to nominate another entity to purchase DSPs. Where there's an overlapping interest in a DSP, all the kāhui with overlapping interests must establish and nominate a joint entity, which they must determine their respective interests in, to purchase the DSP. They must then notify the Tātou Board that they wish to purchase the DSP jointly, then work with the trustee to go through the DSP process. The Tātou Board will instruct the Commercial Board to purchase the DSP and transfer it to the joint nominated entity. The price for a DSP will initially be satisfied by the Commercial Board and on transfer to the kāhui will be satisfied by a payment of cash, through a redemption of units or a mixture of both by the beneficial entity representing the kāhui. Where a beneficial entity has not exercised its right to purchase a DSP during the first 3 quarters of the deferred selection period, or no kāhui has an interest in the DSP, the Commercial Board will be able to purchase the DSP. Rights of first refusal properties, RFRs, will have a similar process to that of DSPs. Where an RFR is triggered, the Tātou Board will notify the kāhui that has indicated an interest and work through the process together. Where there are overlapping interests in RFRs, the Tātou Board will notify the kāhui that have indicated an interest, and these kāhui may establish a joint entity to purchase the property. Where a beneficial entity does not confirm it wishes to purchase the property within a certain time frame, the Commercial Board will be able to purchase the properties. Together, all these features make up our final representation and asset arrangement model. Now let's take a closer look at the kāhui relationship with Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. As explained earlier on, each kāhui will elect one person to be its representative on Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust, the Tātou representative for that kāhui, and a director of the corporate trustee. It is important that the relationship between Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust and each kāhui is two-way. The Tātou representative will report to Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust on the kāhui activities annually. Equally, the Tātou representative will report back to the kāhui on Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust's activities annually. When it comes to appointing kaumātua as and when required, the kāhui will appoint one kaumātua to the Kaumātua Council for Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust. In the engagement hui in 2017, we discussed whether there should be the option for a kāhui, or a rōpū as it was referred to then, to leave Tātou o Te Wairoa if it decided that it wanted to be independent. Under this final representation and asset arrangement model, it is proposed that the kāhui may become independent from Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust via a special resolution vote. 75% of adult registered members in the kāhui must validly cast a vote in favour of the special resolution to ratify independence. A beneficial entity that has become independent may rejoin Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust, but it will need to purchase new units at a minimum of 5 million to do so. The Tātou trust deed needs to be amended to reflect the Kāhui independence option. This will be done as part of this vote. There are several key principles achieved through the Kāhui independence process. High voting thresholds ensure fairness and a robust process. All adult registered members of the Kāhui can vote on the exit, which ensures transparency. And time limits mean that the Tātou board has certainty going forward. This is due to a Kāhui only being able to trigger an independence request within the set time periods. Becoming independent will mean that the beneficial entity representing a Kāhui redeems its units in Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust for cash and shares in the forest companies. However, a Kāhui will remain a part of Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust in perpetuity because Tātou o Te Wairoa is the PSG for the single comprehensive settlement with the Crown. The cultural redress received as part of the settlement will always stay with Tātou o Te Wairoa Trust, as this is what is contained in our Deed of Settlement and Claims Settlement Act. An independent Kāhui will no longer have a trustee representative on Tātou board, but it will remain connected to Tātou o Te Wairoa through a formal agreement including rights to purchase RFR land and how cultural redress matters will be handled. The amended trust deed will set out the process by which a beneficial entity can become independent from Tātou o Te Wairoa. You can read more about the Kāhui independence process on page 19 of your information booklet. Now that we've covered off how the unit trust model will be structured and how the Kāhui representation will work within this model, let's take a look at the long-term financial benefit of this type of model. Over the past year, your initial trustees have engaged experts to undertake detailed financial modelling of the unit trust model to assess the likelihood of its financial viability in the long term, and so we can be sure that the iwi, hapu and whānau will benefit. We've looked at costs, return on investment, risks and relevant qualitative factors based on 2 scenarios. You can take a detailed look at the financial modelling on pages 20 to 25 of your information booklet, but we'll also go through this in some detail now. Scenario 1 is where we remain as Tātou collective for at least 25 years, where all Kāhui manage their assets collectively. Scenario 2 is where one Kāhui leaves the collective at a defined point in time, for example after 5 years, and manages their share of pūtea individually. Underpinning all of this were several guiding principles: to mitigate risk, to preserve options, to ensure decisions by consensus, to ensure accountability and transparency that is fair to all parties involved and that involves arm's-length decision-making. You can read more about these guiding principles on page 21 of your information booklet. Now let's take a look at each modelled scenario. Under Scenario 1, all Kāhui invest collectively for 25 years. This includes the forest asset with an estimated value of 6.035 million. The forest asset itself is estimated to generate 3% lease income and 1% capital gain per annum. An initial asset allocation of 40 to 60 between growth assets, low-risk assets has been modelled. A final asset allocation of 60-40 between growth assets, low-risk assets over 6 years. This happens once a broader range of investment opportunities are assessed and the collective has greater certainty over the investment term, asset classes and risk appetite that Kāhui are comfortable with. Under Scenario 1, cash income and capital gains are expected to grow over time as a result of compound interest and reinvestment. Distributions have been modelled as follows. Initial 3 years of distribution consists of the total 7.4 million of net accrued interest distributed to Kāhui. This is indicated by the dark purple columns in the diagram. Each kāhui receives approximately 1 million spread over 3 years if they retain all their units in Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua Trust. There is no distribution of the portfolio's profits in the initial 3 years, with 100% of earnings reinvested into the portfolio. From year 4, distributions policy is set at 40% of earnings, with the remaining 60% being reinvested into the portfolio. This diagram shows the potential cash distributions for each kāhui over 25 years based on these assumptions. The next 2 graphs illustrate the potential growth in the collective portfolio, diagram 3, and share allocated to each kāhui, diagram 4, over 25 years. It also shows how the income is split between costs, distributions, and reinvestment. At the end of year 25, under the modelled assumptions, the initial 113.4 million portfolio capital could grow to 244 million in aggregate. This includes the 6.035 million estimated value of the forest asset. This is an increase of 130.6 million. At the end of year 25, the initial 16.2 million portfolio capital per kāhui could grow to 34.9 million in aggregate. This is an increase of 18.7 million. If any kāhui decide they want to leave the Tātou Tātou collective, we are keen to provide the right information to ensure they understand what this means from a financial and investment perspective. We have modelled scenario 2 on the basis that a kāhui becomes independent in year 5. All kāhui initially invest in the Tātou Tātou model for 5 years, as per scenario 1. At the start of year 6, one kāhui becomes independent. Asset allocation and distributions remain the same as under the Tātou Tātou scenario. However, there are costs to becoming independent. On becoming independent, the kāhui, for example, might incur a cost of $250,000 that includes a contribution to legal, valuation and structuring costs as shown in this diagram. The kāhui is also assumed to incur their own management costs to operate the fund of $450,000 per annum. This is $300,000 per annum greater than the kāhui share of the operating costs of Tātou Tātou o Te Wairua. So we can compare the 2 scenarios on the same level, the kāhui is assumed to invest in the same investment mix. That is, 60% growth assets and 40% low-risk assets with the same returns. It is important to understand that the kāhui that has become independent may face practical constraints in order to achieve the same result as scenario 1. It may be harder to achieve the same asset mix as the collective, as the smaller investment capital, approximately 15 million, compared with more than 100 million, may restrict the accessibility to invest in certain asset types such as private equity, commercial property, farms, and businesses. It may also be more difficult to achieve the same level of diversification, which results in greater risk exposure to single assets compared to the Tātou Tātou collective scenario. Assuming the same asset mix and distribution profile, the portfolio income of the kāhui that becomes independent may be less than what could be achieved if the kāhui remains in the Tātou Tātou model. This is due to the compounding effect of higher operating costs as shown in this diagram. Kāhui capital could grow from 17.3 million to 26.1 million. But this is 7.1 million lower than the modelled result of remaining in the Tātou Tātou collective. This is because of the higher operating costs of the kāhui. To reduce the difference, the kāhui could invest a greater portion of their capital in growth assets, reduce costs while preserving capability, or reduce distributions. The purple dotted line on this graph shows the level of distributions modelled by staying within the tātou model. By comparing the level of distributions between Scenario 1 and Scenario 2, this is approximately 100% greater than those achievable under the independent scenario. Now let's recap. We are holding this hui so you can better understand how the proposed unit trust model and kāhui representation will work. We want to ensure you are fully informed before you vote on the special resolution. It's up to you, whānau, to decide if we can move forward with the final asset and representation arrangements. We strongly encourage you to vote yes to the special resolution to 1. Amend the tātou o te Wairua trust deed as set out in the marked up trust deed entitled Revised Version November 2018. And 2. Approve the unit trust model as the asset and representation model for the tātou o te Wairua trust. We'll now have questions and answers. Before we do, we have the following ground rules. Please respect others and remain quiet so that their pārtai can be heard clearly. Please identify yourself when you speak so we can record your name. Please keep questions related to the final representation and asset arrangement model. For other matters, please talk to one of your representatives. Thanks for your support, whānau. It's crucial in helping us build a positive future for the iwi and hapu of Te Rohe o Te Wairua. This is the beginning of our new era, and we are so excited and grateful to have you united with us on this journey. Nō reira, from all of us at tātou o Te Wairua Trust, ngā mihi kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, mauri ora.
Well, thank you, whānau, for watching and listening to our presentation. It has, I guess, been a journey for the trustees themselves, going through and putting this together. We've had some diverse opinions, and trying to bring that all together into one has been, I guess, an accomplishment in itself. So you have different kāhui, different stages, and different aspirations. So trying to come up with something that's going to suit everyone has been a tireless effort, and just like to congratulate our trustees for the effort they've put in, and also the whānau who've contributed through the feedback sessions we ran last year with the engagement hui. We've listened, hopefully we've listened to what you've said and put something together that you can see as visionary for our future. We've sought that specialist advice that you asked us to go and get, and tried to bring it all together on one, because at the end of the day you want that detail so that you can make an informed decision. So we have gone and done that, got that detail, and hopefully with the presentation and what you've seen in the booklet that you can vote yes to approve the amendments and make the changes to move forward. It's because currently we operate within that Crown model of the single PSG, one single comprehensive settlement. We've tried to move to a more broader base where kāhui have a lot more power and say in what happens in terms of going on, in terms of in the area. So it's quite unique. It doesn't fit with any other PSG models that are kind of out there currently. We're trying to forge something new to make sure that the decision making is kind of getting more to the grassroots, where it all needs to happen at our kāhui levels, and creating that formal connection with them. At the same time, we want to make sure we all got to build our capability and capacity back in Wairoa. We need kāhui, we need tātou to kind of lift with our structures to make sure we're more professional in what we do, so that then the more professional we get, the more better we are, the more wiser we become. So without me carrying on any further, I would just like to ask if there's any questions, or anyone's got any questions on what they've seen, and or in terms of the final representation and model.
Kurima o hine manuhiri. And I'd also like to acknowledge the trustees on the mahi they've done. It's quite exciting to where tātou Te Wairua is going to be moving from here on. So decisions like that, it's really awesome to see you consulting or doing consultation huis around the motu. So ngā mihi kia koutou. I do have a few questions. I think for the first one, it would be on the clarity of kāhui representatives. There's an assumption that the trust deed of each kāhui will already have their elective process, and from there it would come into the corporate trustee. I did ask earlier with Fire, and I noticed I've just whisked through the revised trustee that there's no entertainment for, alternate director onto the corporate trustee. However, if the kāhui trustee had that entertainment in there, he paitera, i.e. so they would say in their trustee, because I'm sensing you want the mana of ngā kāhui tuatahi. So if in case the director we put on our kāhui isn't able to participate or attend to the assigned meetings, in their trustee they'll have an alternate to attend to that, and that may help that. I brought that up because we know just for special circumstances where for health, our mate or our director, we need to ensure that our kāhui is represented in that space. So, pātai tuatahi.
We had some discussion with our lawyers about how can we draft something up like that, about making sure that at every hui that the kāhui is represented with an alternative. So I think they're just saying that it's built into the kāhui trustees that if your kāhui representative is not there, then they have the ability for someone else to go along in their place. So we want to make sure the kāhui is represented 100% of the time, so that they're not getting left out of any of these decisions.
About the kāhui independence. When those that decide to go independent, they say there's a $5 million buyback into tātou or Te Wairua. So is that the cut-off margin? 5 million. So if they're not able, I've just got a couple of more questions then. If they're not able to achieve the $5 million, what happens to that independent kāhui? And secondly, when they do rejoin, there's a 40% profit being distributed each December. So I'd just like to know, are they entitled to that 40% share immediately when they rejoin after paying the $5 million, or would they have a stand down per annum until a full circle goes by until that entitlement happens again? Kia ora.
So the kāhui that's wanting to rejoin will set a bar of 5 million assets. So if a particular kāhui only had 5 million assets base left, they could liquefy that and give that back to tātou. Why we set that is because we can't have kāhui coming in with nothing and then having a seat at the table, able to influence votes of other kāhui who've stayed together. It didn't seem right and fair for those who have gone away and spent all their money and then lost it, basically, and wanted to come back. So we set a minimum of 5. They could come back with 10, 20, 15, 20 million and come back and join. So when they do come back and join, it's the value of their units compared to the other units or the other kahui, it's set on that ratio. So the 40% is divvied up. So if you only come back with 5 million, you're only getting 5 million of the 40%. You know, you're not entitled to an equal share as the other kahui. It depends on how many units you've got left in the unit trust. That's how the percentage of the 40% distribution works. So the more units you leave in, the bigger the distribution you get. The more units you take out, the less you get because you've only got a smaller piece of the pie. Yeah, so it comes down to a wise decision by kahui. Do I want to take my annual distributions, or do I want to keep putting it in back to tata to build them up? It's like an investment bank, KiwiSaver. You know, keep it in the bank, keep it growing until 20, 30 years down the track. Then you may want to go independent with a larger percentage of tata, rather than going early and taking a small percent and trying to build that up. So trying to focus on, you can go if you want to early, but it may be best to stay in to build your capability and capacity up first. Use your distributions, use funding from TPK, MBIE, all that Crown money. Use their money to build up your capability first, rather than spend your own money on doing that. The government agencies out there, they give you money to do that. So it's strategically thinking at the kahui. So that's when we're trying to put some of those decision making back to the kahui to say, well, here's a lot of flexibility. You make your own decisions for how you think best to proceed. Currently, as things are set up, there's a central body that makes all the decisions for everyone and says, we're going to do this. Whereas other kahui say, oh, that may not be a priority, that may not be a fit purpose for me. I want to do something different. So it gives a little bit of flexibility. So that enables those decisions at the kahui level to be made that may be something unique to them, but at the same time they're able to partner with other kahui, partner with tata to do what they need to do.
Aroha mai mirihira Savage anō. This is in regards to the company arm. And you've actually said a minimum of 5 directors. You haven't actually provided a maximum. He paitera, only just starting up stage, but it hasn't quite clarified who is going to be appointed or whom. You've said it is independent, but so my question is, are these, and you want the right people for the job, but are these directors on the commercial arm beneficiaries, or are they and non-beneficiaries? Because it's not quite clarified.
Yeah. So with the commercial arm, we haven't set a maximum in the trustee, but we have set a maximum in the company constitution. So we left up a little bit of a flexibility to move the maximum number up and down. So currently has 5 as the minimum with 1 based in Wairoa. The other option we moved to 7 with 2 based in Wairoa. So this gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of finding the right people, because that's when we want with the commercial, you're going to have the right balance of people in there. Those that I guess are entrepreneurial, wanting out and invest in everything left, right and centre. We don't want too many of them, but at the same time we don't want too many accountants and lawyers. So we've got to find that mix with those right people. Some of them may not be whakapapa or we're beneficiaries, because at the same time we want to learn from everyone, but at the same time upskill our own people. So we could want to kind of have a balance between the two, so that they're exposed, people who don't whakapapa to us may be exposed to other opportunities that we would never else get exposed to, but at the same time we want to leverage off them. We want to learn from them to make sure that we get the best for the settlement, and make sure that we are learning and upskilling our people that can go on to be in the kahuis and bring them up at the same time. So we're trying to broaden our perspective.
Ka pai, I'd like it if it was a 50-50 or 30-70 to, like you say, it's that successioning process for our people. They may have the ideas and may not have the qualifications, and you know, for an example, if you have someone from, or I don't know, PricewaterhouseCoopers or KMPG, and they want to be a director on there. And you want to make sure, you know, they've got to grow their money, and it's going to lead into my second question. So I'd like to see it actually confirmed that we do have this next lot of whānau who may not live in Wairua, because that's also not clarified. Okay, you're going to get 2 if it's up to 7 or 1 if there's only 5 members on there from Wairua, but that's still not clarified whether it's a beneficiary who has actually got skills or qualifications. So that may need to be kind of really fine-tuned on a 50-50 for now, until we've promoted it out there to our people. Say, hey, you're doing an MBA, or you're doing, because I don't think you need accountants in the commercial end, but that's just my personal view. You want investors and commercial experience, whānau and people on there. So it would be nice to see 50-50, unless you really want to push their responsibility up fast and go 70-30, in the hope that it goes 50-50 to 30-70 as a whakaaro. And it gets into my second, moving into the second one. So you didn't define, even though they're going to be a representative from Wairua, whether they're going to be a beneficiary with good skills or and experience.
Yeah, so we were trying to stay flexible. We want to make sure that we have the best people. That was what we were saying, the best people, best approach. And some of those, you know, they may not be our own. We need to face up to the fact that we need to look elsewhere, maybe to other iwi. But during this establishment phase, if we have that opportunity, we can learn from them. Because that's what we saw with the Ngāi Tahu example. They brought their own in, but at the same time they brought experts in to sit beside them. So like an advisory or someone that sits next to them to learn. So we want to make sure we do that and not give the opportunity out to other people who we know that our own whānau out there that have been exposed to some of these corporate worlds. We want to tap and leverage them as well. So we want to know who they are. We want to get them involved because, you know, we need their skills. This is the time for them to come to the fore. So initially it probably won't be 50-50, it may be only just outside it, but we want to go to 100%. That's where we're trying to heading. So how to get from not a lot of capability to a lot of capability is just to learn off the best people around and go make sure. And the ultimate goal is our asset holding company, our commercial arm, has 100% of our members. Because remember, the corporate commercial board also has some limitations. That's what we talked about, the statement of investments and priorities and objectives. So that SIPO kind of sets their framework, so they can't run off and do a whole lot of things. If we said to them they can't invest in alcohol, drugs or any of those kind of commercial activities, we give them some framework to work within to begin with, and then make sure that they operate within that. That's the Tātou Trust Board's responsibility to keep oversight on where they're going. Make sure they there's not maximising at all costs earning returns. It's trying to balance that approach. I don't understand the Kauri representation. What's happened with each of the Kauri? They've set up their own new trust. There's a couple of Kauri had existing trusts that kind of weren't fit for purpose. So what they've done is set up their new discretionary trust alongside their existing entities and are going to link in with the two. So all 7 new Kauri are setting up discretionary trusts and working with our lawyers to set those up. 2 of them have completed. The others are coming along board in the next couple of weeks. So those Kauri trustees are the key link for our members' engagement. So it's through those Kauri trustees that are an important part of this process. So they're the ones who set a lot of your aspirations and direction on the grassroots. Representation, distribution happens with that Kauri. So we, Tātou, funnel the funds and relationships through to the Kauri, which then they make the decisions about which are the priorities.
Kia ora, Junit Putaranui. Just a question in regards to the commercial arm. Is there a, I suppose, is there an expression of interest document that would be available for people that may be interested to join that?
So once hopefully if they're successful and get this resolution passed, that will be the job of our 14 initial trustees here, is to come up with that document, the expression of interest, and work with that independent agency. Choose that firstly to find out who that will be, and then come up with it and get it out to all our members as wide as possible. Use the independent agency to look at what resources and avenues they have in terms of access to personnel who may suit our purpose. But we will try and put up a description of what we're after in terms of that commercial board.
Kia ora koe te katoa, ko Sainia Kohiti tōku ingoa. Hara mai au mai o Pōtiki, mai nai tamatea ki Marumahue, ki te whakarono ki ngā kōrero katoa. Number one, a little bit surprised, and I'm glad you used the word grassroots. I guess that's the level that most of us might have attended this hui tonight. And I can see after the presentation, it very much as a business presentation about making money. And so I guess, and I'm thinking about our local hui apopo, on what we might take back to those whānau that are already registered online or haven't attended tonight. So for us to truly make a difference at a level that we can see happening would be with our kāhui rep.
Yep.
Ne.
Yep.
So listening to tonight was very, very overwhelming. A lot of information that, I'm sure I'm not alone, but it just can go and just a whole lot of numbers and words. Aroha mai, it's the only way I know how to speak. But very interesting on the allocation model. I think for a lot of us, we really need to read the deed. Because a lot of stuff that was talked about tonight, to be honest, kai reira hau kai pōneke, I ronua hau ki te pire katoa, tēnō pai. But last minute instructions to come to the hui tonight, to vote on a process that Lord knows what it was about prior to coming in. I don't even know what I'm supposed to go back to the hui tomorrow to say, because it was very, very high level. And I'm talking as a grassroots person who came along thinking, oh yeah, our marae can be part of everything and we're going to da-da-da-da-da. But it didn't happen like that. I'm not confused. I think the models are great. But I think it requires a lot more kōrero from our kāhui rep, trustee, kowai. So we're a little bit more better informed, because I find that I wasn't informed after all. But that's because, so we went in September, it's October, it's November. To be honest, I guess we're just catching up through reps. And we're, a lot of mahi, you've done heaps of mahi, it's great. And I have to say, by watching, because take my other hat off, korongo mai wahi nea hau, Ngāti Rakato. So, ko te tahi o nā mokapuna pita poipoi. So I really was interested at the, at the hui that's going on, the kāhui that met down there. I think I knew more from down there than at home. So I'm just saying that prior to coming to this hui, I had an impression of what we were voting for. I was totally wrong. Really wrong. I thought it was about marae being included in a cluster and then being informed, having participation. So what I'm saying is that for the next few hui, there needs to be just a little bit more grassroots explanation, because it was just, for me, I lost it somewhere in the middle. But now, reading the information booklet, I agree at the unit allocation model, and also what is the other one? Sorry, I have got it there.
Representation.
Yes, I do agree, but I need to read the amended tātou revised. So first, and the other one is that I've just seen the unit trust model presented to us tonight. I need to understand what I'm, and I'm hoping that I'm speaking for others of us that want to participate, but golly gosh, it was quite overwhelming and a lot to take in. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to read off the piece of paper as to what we came here for tonight and go back and plug that if you are registered, vote online, or our whānau members who are in Hamilton and Auckland, hopefully they get along to the hui, because I'm sure they're going to be just like me. We had a picture of what we were coming here for, and it wasn't. So my kōrero was about awareness of where this, and we really want to be part of, and I guess we're part of Ngā Tokori Māhine Manuhiri, ko mātai te whānau ngai tamatea kai Waiotahi. So we want to be involved, but I guess we need to be better informed for us. Okay, kia ora.
Thanks for your kōrero there. I do kind of understand that this is quite complex. It's not a simple model. It's complex because there is a lot of, I guess, kahui on different stages of a journey. Some are starting out, like yourselves, and need to understand how do I see myself fit in to a kahui, and how is that going to represent my interests. So a lot of your initial kind of connection and work will be with your kahui to make sure that you're representing your marae is there. You can see the marae, you can see your tapu, to make sure it's connected and represented. So what we're trying to do here at our level is trying to create that formal connection to the kahui, so then we can funnel down resource, expertise down to the kahui, to the grassroots, rather than sit up with us and we build a big corporate empire, lots of staff, a lot of people running around, but not doing a lot of things on the ground. But if we try and get down another level to the kahui, where we know that our grassroots space, because they're represented by marae, because they're represented by hapu, then we know that they're going to deliver, because they're the ones at the coal face. And we're kind of up in the clouds a little bit sometimes. People start to run away when you get in the clouds. And so we want to make sure that that connection is established. We've got to establish that connection first, because we don't have a formal connection to kahuis, because we need to formally recognise that a kahui exists, a trust there, so we have confidence in giving you putia, that kahui is going to do what they say they're going to do, because it's in their trustee aligns with our trustee, there's accountability, everyone understands what the process is and when elections occur, when annual reports are due, when AGMs are due, so we know that we can keep an account of all the settlement funds we're handing over. But the priorities they set is theirs. But our job is just to make sure that those kahui are being resourced.
Kia ora anō, I think this is my last last question. And it's thank you, Whaia, and it's in regards to the amendments that have made in the revised trust deed. I'm assuming those amendments are done from August. Yep. August, yeah. And thank you for also giving us a copy or let us see what those revised amendments are. I kind of buzzed through them while we were doing, especially when you see 68 pages to 56 pages, I think, and then 90. So, in a nutshell, what were there any, and just for us who haven't gone through it fully, the trustee, were there any new clauses put in from the approved trust deed to the revised trust deed?
Yeah, there's quite a few new clauses in relation to the unit trust stuff, so all that unit trust stuff wasn't in the August version. What also is quite unique is that we've taken the settlement properties that were in the deed of settlement and the Settlement Act, and we'll put them into schedules. So those schedules now list which kahui have an interest in, which particular settlement redress, if it's a forest, it's a DSP, RFR, a cultural redress property. So it's listed in our deed to say that these are the kahui who will have that conversation. So taking out, I guess clarifying where the kahuis have interests. So then they can go away and they know what they need to do, have those conversations with those other kahuis to work out an agreement about how they're going to manage them, those shared interests with those those specific properties. Or even some respects, some kahui may need to establish their interest first, because your interest can range from 0 to 100%. So some have just gone, I've got, this is my area, and listed all these properties, so the first exercise will be to work with each of the kahuis to establish where your interests lie. So then you can then understand if it's a commercial property, if they want to buy it, they need to arrange joint entities to do that. It's about, a lot of this is we need a lot of capability at the kahui level, because there's some key decisions that we made about purchasing properties at DSPs in the first 2 years. And then after that, if they wanted to go independent, there's that process of making sure that your financial modelling is all correct, and you can present all that to your members to compare that. Going independent, you'll create your more benefit returns. So there's a lot of work to be done at the kahui level. And it's just not simple of just, you can make it as simple as possible and say, I'm going to invest everything back into tata tata and not take a dividend, which is the simplest way. That's what we would call the amalgamation type model we come back last year. Or we can have the devolutionist type arrangement where you're going to take all your money out and spend it on things you want to spend it on. So we tried to have that flexibility.
Board members, the world wants to hear this, for having brought this project to this stage. I notice it's been boiling away for over 30 years. Congratulations to you all who've worked so hard to bring it to this stage. The people of Wairoa will just love you for it, I'm sure they will. I'd like to say if I was another 30 or 40 years younger, I'd run with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, if us trustees feel privileged of being in this position these first 2 years to do this work, it was quite explicit on what we had to do, which was good. So it narrowed down our focus. So we received that settlement. We had to make some changes to the trustees. Unfortunately, in August, OTS come back with a whole lot of list of, unforeseen changes. We weren't planning on doing that, but we had to do that to get over the line to get the 6th of September when we went to Wellington with the third reading, and those who attended. We greatly appreciate that you being there on that day. It was momentous. We finally got this 30-year mahi over the line, and it's been we've lost some on the way, as we all know, but those that have taken up the responsibility have done an excellent job to get to this point where, like we say, our decisions now are in our own hands. There's no Crown oversight on this. They don't have a say on what we vote on or how we structure this anymore. This is all up to us, and if it's going to suit our aspirations for the future.
Kia ora anō. Now I've got a couple of more questions. First of all, the charitable trust arm. So the trustees in the corporate trust, will they be part of the charitable trust?
Yep.
Okay, that's a lot of mahi for them.
So the charitable trust is only, it represents only 2 units, but it's charitable to the collective benefit of all. But the charitable other work will be done at the kahui level. So they'll be doing charitable activities as well. Yeah, so it's not just tata tata doing charitable.
Okay, and my second question in regards to the kahui and tato tato, what's in place as in support for kahui? Because, you hear some of these stories where ropu, marae, iwi, hapu get themselves into trouble. Yep. And people within those kahui, fly off with the money. Yep. So is there anything that tato tato have put in place to help assist our whānau, so to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so obviously we want to provide preventative measures, governance training, financial training and all that. We could collectively do that together. We don't have to go out and individually do that one by one. So those are the sort of things tata tata would look like, the training aspect, to make sure that you got good governance in place. We've got a good solid trustee there. We just want to make sure that they continue to abide by it and execute it, rather than kind of stray off to the sides. So from Tato Tato's perspective, it has a couple of minimum criteria every year that a kahui has to meet before it gets an annual distribution. and obviously that's having an AGM, having a set of audited accounts, and if you have to run an election for a trustee or trustees, you run the election. So those are the three minimum. So if you don't have any of those three, tata can withhold your annual distribution until you hold and up to scratch with those.
Kia ora, last question from me. In regards to this word corporate, I'm envisaging, sky-rise buildings with them and big boardrooms and whatnot. Well, I was pretty much a rundown place. So, I just want to see, we've got to portray a corporate image per se. So I just sort of like to know what the tātou te Wairua, where they think they're going to base, and are they going to portray a successful sort of corporate image, or do we just sort of have little meetings around what's existing in Wairua? Or do you actually take funding out and are going to build a complex so that you've got everything in one place?
Yeah. We're trying to run an organisation at Tata that's going to be quite lean, not a whole lot of high expenses, maybe 3 or 4 employees that we need to look at. In terms of a base, we haven't had any discussions about whether we establish a physical presence. We currently use the trust board premises as our kind of office front. So part of our philosophy of trying keeping things lean and mean is probably why would we need to invest in corporate offices and corporate high rises and build flash buildings when all that money should be going into maraes, keeping them up, those sort of things. But if a partnership came along with the likes of the Ministry of Social Development, MBIE, some of those kind of Crown agencies, they're looking to partner with establishing a one-stop shop for our whānau to go to get their, their aspirations and need help and services, then we would work with Crown agencies to help build kind of a facility. But we don't want to build any kind of corporate buildings. That's not what we're trying to plan to do. We're trying to get the money down to the kāhuis as best as possible. But if there's Crown money there, we'll try and use theirs to build it, not our own. Yeah. I think we've got an idea on the unit trust. I think the question came back about the units and the distribution of those units. We did have a bit of a discussion in paper about why do we all have the same amount of units? It was quite a difficult conversation because it's quite hard to value individual treaty breaches, individual populations of each kāhui. We all need to go and find the whakapapa for every 34,000 members of our group, and then work out the whakapapa of everyone to get those numbers to an exact. We'll need an expert in to value treaty breaches. So it was quite difficult in the end to kind of come up with a formula. We would spend a lot of time arguing about it. So it was just easier to say, we're used to the 7 kāhui, we'll just equally set it at that for now, that for the begin with, and it'll be up to the individual kāhui what they do. If they partner up with other kāhui, do trading of shares, trading of units, joint venture, buy properties, the DSBs. There wasn't a lot of properties offered to us from the Crown on settlement, and those properties that have been offered up, we've thought, well, the kāhui should have first rights to have that decision to buy them back, because that's the only thing the Crown had at the time. They'll make that decision if whether it's an economic worthwhile buying the DSB properties, or B, it's whether it's a cultural purchase. We're not having to make that decision for you. We only get the opportunity if a kāhui doesn't want that particular property, then the commercial board will look at it from a commercial perspective. But there's a lot of issues tied up in trying to unwind a single comprehensive settlement, and then trying to devolve it a little bit more into, kāhui-based type settlement. The Crown and their policies of the large natural groupings and all that have kind of made us come together, part of what we're trying to do is trying to unwind some of that Crown policy and try and devolve ourselves to a certain degree, but at the same time retain some of that strength with being collective. You know? The Crown Agency is always going to see tata tata and always will go to tata tata first, because that's what the Settlement Act says, and that's what they in Wellington all see, is just our single comprehensive settlement. So we need some kind of using tata tata as that collective to then funnel down some of these relationships to the grassroots. Make sure some of those government agencies know where they're going, rather than it being a kind of a gateway and preventing access from the bottom up as well as from the top through. It's very ambitious, so hopefully if we get it right, it will be very ambitious, very, very good. But it all comes down, I say, the key weakness is, I guess, is that capability at the Kāhui level. I think some of our questions up tonight, they need that capability. They need to bring themselves up. No good in tata lifting and then the Kāhui's kind of dragging behind. We need to bring everyone along. So then we all lift as one. Anyone else, any questions? Hapai? If not further, I'll ask Matua to close us.
Rau kai wai ni nui a tātou, a he mihi nui rā tēnei kia koutou mā. Nō reira, kia ora rā koutou. Nō reira e hono re korori he mauna rono ki ni te whenua whakaro pai ki nā tāna katoa amene. Whakamoi whistante ki a koe mai mōmana ki tanga ia mātou e tō mātou atu, mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou, e hui nei rā, i raro rā i kaukau tēnei ona whare o tātou e tō mātou atu. Tēnei te ino te rā ki a koe e tō mātou atu, mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou, e hoki ana rā ki o mātou kāina, ki o mātou whaenau. Tēnei te ino te rā ki a koe mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou i tēnei wā tō mātou atu. Rore te atu kai te ino tino ki a koe tō mātou atu, mai mō wēnā, e hoki atu rā ki o rātou kāine haere tawhiti ana. Tēnei te ino te rā ki a koe mai mōmana ki tangara ia rātou e tō mātou matu e te rani. Ino i o rātou haere ana, mea mātou haere ana mai ai ana i ake tonu e tō mātou atu. Rore ka te ino tino ki a koe tō mātou atu, mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou, e hui nei e tō mātou atu. Mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou, mō o mātou kuia nā kraua. Nā tamariki nā moko punaka waini nui i a tātou tēnei te ino te rā ki a koe mai mōmana ki tangara ia mātou i tēnei wā tō mātou atu. Rore re utaina hera kuni a tātou e tō mātou atu, tāu mana ki tanga i tēnei wā e tō mātou atu. Rore tēnei ka te ino te rā ki a koe nui tēnua ta tamata wai o tapu ai ane, ā ki tōna te krore ki tōna tapu āmene.
Titiru mai nā iwi, tātou e. Titiru mai nā iwi, tātou e. Vai a te maranatana, me te aroha i nā iwi, ki akutahi, ki akutahi rā. Tātou e, tātou e.
Rore rei nei tēnā, mā te atu a tātou i mana kiro tēnā wā katoa. Nei reira tēnā koutou, kia ora rā tātou.
Scary stuff. Good stuff.